All right. Good morning, everybody. At least for me, it is very early in the morning, 6 a.m. on the east coast of the United States. Welcome to continuing coverage of the Virtual World Cup. We are in the tail end of the final week of pool play, week 3. And good morning to Mark in the chat. And we are bringing you two of the most exciting matches this week. Obviously, let's just get a look at the broadcast schedule. You can see we're in the tail end of things right now. If you headed over to Lord Livgan's channel right now, he is bringing you the match between Australia and Nigeria that is in progress, where Australia has a narrow lead, looking to punch their ticket into the bracket. And today, I'm going to be bringing you both of the Group A matches to finish things off here in pool play, India versus Thailand and the UK versus Malaysia. So today, we're going to focus on India versus Thailand first. You can see here are the results. Oh, I don't have my Canada and Singapore result in there, but I can tell you that was a thrilling match, what I was able to see. A 13-12 win for Canada over Singapore, and obviously a bit of an upset this week for Ireland over the US. At least that's how it felt to me on the losing end. I didn't have a good week myself, but Ghana beating Kenya, which eliminated Kenya from contention, and Pakistan continuing their run through the bracket. So let's just have a look at how the standings match up. We don't have a ton of time until the two teams are going to start, so you can see the matchup that we are bringing you today, Thailand and India. So both of the matchups in Group A are win and in. Nothing complicated to them because all the teams are 1-1. All of those teams simply need a win today to move to 2-1, and the two teams that win today will advance. Pakistan already slated to advance from Group B, and the winner between Australia and Nigeria will also advance along with them. Group C and Group D are all decided. All the matches have been played. You can see that Canada had a great run through Group C at 3-0, Singapore at 1-2. But if we bring up the tiebreaker of win totals, you can see that Singapore actually had one of the highest win totals in the entire event. So that was the tiebreaker used to determine that Singapore would make it over Kenya and Ghana. And then the similar tiebreaker used in Group D, 45 wins for the US, 39 for Ireland, edging out the Philippines, who did an amazing job to go 2-1 in a very difficult bracket, or a difficult group, I should say. So here is how the bracket is shaking out. The bottom spots are set in stone. It will be the USA versus Singapore next week in the first weekend of our championship bracket, and Canada versus Ireland on the other side. Pakistan will be waiting for Group A to shake out. I have it as Malaysia versus UK and India versus Thailand up on the upper left, but those spots are still in flux and they are subject to tiebreakers. So, once again, if we go back to the pool play, you can see that that's just a tentative listing that I've put there. It is going to boil down to which of the teams that wins. Yeah, I actually checked up on that, and it seems like the win total actually is 27.5. I looked at Weibin's stat kit that actually analyzes the games, but either way, it doesn't really matter. The rankings are irrelevant right now. It all matters how many wins they end up with after today. Just looking at here's our matchup. I think it's pretty close. At some point, maybe I'll go do the statistics, but I really want to get some polling up to start here and see what games you guys would like to see. I will say the one thing that I want to make known is that for India today, they are missing their number 1 seed, Akshay Bandarkar, former world champion. He is not available to play today, so he will be replaced by Mohan Chunkath, which we'll see if Mohan can live up to that standard of Akshay that he's put forward so far. But anyway, feel free to vote in the chat right now for which matchup of the opening rounds that you would like to see. And I can actually see the games are starting. So get those votes in now. I'll head to the backup screen and I'll be ready to watch as the games get going. So there's definitely some good ones here. Not everybody is online yet. I do see that at least Yannick and Mohan are playing to start. We can just tap into that game and wait for the ones that win the poll. Looks like Sherwin and Karapon has a couple votes. That's a great one to start. The top seed for Thailand and the number 2 seed for India. But let's just see what's happening in this game while we wait for everybody else to log on. It looks like I think it's, yeah, Sherwin and the Karapon are about ready to get going. So I will also try to continue to give updates on the Australia versus Nigeria match, which is a pivotal match and will determine another team that makes it into the bracket. And that, again, is going on at Jeremy Koo's channel at twitch.tv/LordLivgen. How often do you get a chance to watch 2 Scrabble streams at once? Not very often. So hopefully we can support both. He's doing a great job. I already watched a bit of his stream today. So that match is probably a bit more than halfway over. As we watch Mohan and Yannick in the opening stages of this really, really important match. Once again, the winner between India and Thailand that we're watching right now advances to the bracket, and the loser is out. So everything is riding on this matchup here for both teams. All right, we'll continue to get the poll results. I think I'm going to make an executive decision that Sherwin and Karapon looks like a really good matchup to me. So we'll focus on that once they get going. I see both players are online. So as soon as that game starts, we will focus on that. Anyway, let's see if we can I don't want to get too invested in this game because I think in just a moment, we're going to be switching over to our feature game of the round. So let's see if we can, you know what I'll do while we're waiting for that game to start is I will do my today's matchup. So you can see the matchup today between India and Thailand, both teams 1-1. Both have compiled very strong records in a strong group. I see the 2 players have started playing, so we'll cut back to that shortly. It's interesting because both teams have very high average scores, but India allowing slightly more points per game, also scoring more bonuses. Both teams a little bit up on blanks so far. So I have more statistics to come for that, but let us have a look at our feature game. All right. I see the flags are reversed. Let me fix that. Try to stay on top of all my interface stuff. Okay, so let's really hone in on this game, and it really looks like Iwi is crying out to be played for a Karapon who has 3 eyes, and with this rack, it's definitely calling out to use up 2 eyes in the W, and fortunately there is a word that does exactly that, and he plays it very quickly. So over to Sherwin now. His rack is pretty bad. All low point tiles and a lot of vowels besides. So he'll be apt to play as many of them off as he can here. So let me see if I can stick with this game. And it looks like he exchanges, which looks like a reasonable option. Exchange 3, and a Karapon to his leave of IRST. He's drawn PU blank. So he'll definitely have something here. The question is, does he have anything with the Iwi's hook that lets him score on both double word scores for a double-double? That would be the trick. I'm not seeing it right now. But he will have no shortage of bingos that do play. He's just going to take a bit of time. Oh, he's got one. Pursuit. Okay, so he found it very quickly. That looks like a great idea. I'm not sure what else is available in that rack. That's it. That is the only double-double. So he finds and plays his so no 5-point for this matchup. Oh. I'm not sure. You mean 5-point challenge, or is there? It looks like they have 5-point challenge on to me, but let me know if that's what you meant by that comment. So, all right, over to Sherwin. The game's not started the way that he probably would have wanted, where he had a bad rack and his opponent then doubled against him. But at the very least, he'll be able to play Harry here for a solid score. And sure enough, that's what he does very quickly. But Carapan with a Z, good tiles to go with it. He'll probably get at least 30, if not more. Also, let me get my other game score ready for these players. It's going to be the top seed. There we go. Okay. Wow, this is tough. There. All right. Yeah, I do have those 5 points are ready. I just got caught a little bit off guard by the time. Again, it is 6 a.m. my time. So I had to wake up, get a little breakfast, and start the stream right beforehand. So I do actually have my 5 interesting points. But if there's a long enough break in the action, I promise I will get to those. And we'll look at a little bit more of the deeper look into the stats of the matchup, which again, that is all courtesy of Weibin's amazing tournament statistics kit, which hopefully when he's done with his match, he'll head over to our stream and we can have him link that. I should get the link for it available myself. All right, so what should Carapan do here? I guess he'll probably just zoo or something. He could play Doozer. Whoops, let me get those off the board. He could play Doozer here. That looks decent. So definitely options for him. He may not want to open the board in this manner that Doozer does, where once you play Doozer, you've got bingos that can play to the D, overlaps this way. It might be more to a Carapan's liking to keep it close, or keep it closed, I should say. This really doesn't open very much. The board afterwards is much tougher to play on. But he goes for the extra points. He plays Doozer, which is especially frustrating because it looks like he's blocked analog through the U of pursuit. So had a Carapan played the quote-unquote more closed play of Zoo, which I can't put on the board anymore, but had he played Zoo there, it looks like Sherwin would be bingoing. I'm not sure he will be now. So that's just how Scrabble works sometimes. But that's certainly not to say that Doozer is like a clear-cut mistake. It scores 41 points. It seems like a pretty good idea. And I guess it also has the benefit of it left the P on his rack, which is definitely a good tile to keep to play underneath here. It fits in both spots, op and pep, with other consonants. But I think Sherwin is going to be apt to underlap that, I think. He has plenty of tiles that play under the Z, making all these overlaps. He'll figure out some way to score a lot of points under there, I think. It would be great if he could keep the E on his rack that Sherwin has. Sherwin with kind of a tweener rack that has decent bingo tiles, but isn't really close to a bingo, especially because the U got blocked. So if he could keep the E, that's great, but it's possible that he will play something like Aowen here, like this. That looks solid. It uses up that E, like I said, but for 30 points, using up a bunch of your vowels, that looks like a reasonable option. There's definitely other stuff he could do. Let's see what he opts to do. Yeah, while he's thinking about that, I suppose it is still early on. I can hop over to this and let's just see if we can get these in while he's thinking. So you can see here's the matchup breakdown. Again, Akshay not playing today for India, which you'll see. Here's the 5-point challenge that I prepared. Akshay unavailable for today's match. That could be a big one. A great player like Akshay. It's a tough ask for Mohan to step into those shoes and come up with a good performance, but hopefully he can do it. So for India, obviously the story, in my opinion, is Aditya Iyengar, the number 5 seed on India, averaging 461 points per game, 8 wins and 28 bonuses, all of which are the best on Team India. Really impressive performance for him. I think he is sort of keeping them afloat. Some of their other players are struggling, especially Sherwin, the number 2 seed, a really strong player, has not had the greatest tournament so far. So let's see if Sherwin can put forth a good performance today. He is down, unfortunately, through no fault of his own, by 100 points right now to Karapan in our feature game. So for Thailand, the top performers, Napat has an amazing 9 wins. I know he's a younger player, I believe, a youth player from Thailand. So some of Thailand's elite players like Thatcha and Panyupan, a couple other really strong players, are not here playing. But Napat looks like he could be the next in that line. He's got 9 wins out of 10 with 27 bonuses. Both are best on Team Thailand. Karapan, who sort of is the team organizer and the team leader, with a really strong scoring average of 460 points per game, which leads the team, and he's got 7 wins himself. So really strong performance for him so far. And Yanakit, who is one of the lower seeds in the tournament, allowing only 387 points to his opponents. Great defensive effort for Yanakit, and he's got 5.5 wins, 5 wins and a tie. All right, so we've seen a play here. Sherwin plays Olia for 23. That looks okay. It looks like he could have grabbed a few more points by, again, playing Eoan Aoen in the same spot. It would have been 7 more. But Olia is okay. It leaves AGN behind as opposed to AGL after Aoen, and the nice thing about that is keeping NG together, you might be apt to hit that I, and sure enough, he's going to play enabling. So the fact that he kept NG together slightly increases his bingo percentage over a play like Aoen, as we see a Karapan use up the D and play Cupid. That looked pretty good. I think he had 2 E's on his rack there. So Sherwin gets his bingo down, but he's still a fair amount of points in arrears here with the Karapan ready to make his next play. So we'll see if basically it will be pretty important for Sherwin. Let's see if we pop over to this game. The name tags are reversed. There we go. Okay, so now we're on our feature game screen between these two players. Let me see if I can get a quick update on the match between, I'm seeing the latest update between Australia and Nigeria is Australia 9, Nigeria 6, but I actually think that they may be even further along than that. I'm not sure how much further. Yeah, his leave, Karapan's leave was TEE after Cupid. Cupid looks like a perfectly solid play to me. The question is, what is he going to do on this move? I guess it's possible that he will just play something like Feat, F-E-A-T, right here with Zoa and Pelt. That would be a decent play to score. He may not be comfortable opening up Pelts. Also, I think Pelta is a word too, right? So that would, I think that would be extra open. So he may be uncomfortable making a play like that, but it scores pretty well. So I'm not sure where else he's going to score and play. Maybe if he doesn't want to play Feat there, he could just play Feta right here, underlapping. That looks much safer, in fact. I know it scores a bunch fewer points, but at this particular score, it's probably a better idea to play it tight. He's definitely in a good shape. Yeah, you can see that we just queried, is enabling a word? And the answer the bot provides is no, it is not. So given that, really, what are the threats on this board? You can see the tiles of enabling can be played through for bingo tiles. you know, if he has good bingo tiles, if Sherwin does, or this lane right here, and I guess the R of Harry as well. So playing something like Feta right here, it just knocks out all of that real estate for bingos pretty effectively. So Karapon having a good think. I'm sure his eye was initially drawn, if I'm somewhat similar to mine, to the spot right here with the really powerful overlap of the Z, and then he's probably saying, well, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that volatility, with the lead that I have, and I bet he's going to generate some alternative options. And sure enough, yeah, that's just as good. That's no different than Feta or Fate. Let me just see, is all of both teams here? 1, 2, 3. There may be a team change for Thailand that I'm not seeing. I'm seeing all of the Indian players are online, but I'm not seeing all of the Thai players. So it's possible that one of the Thai players is different. I don't think Apparat is actually playing in that roster. It's somebody else. So who would he be supposed to be playing? Hold on, let's try to figure that out quickly. Apparat would be playing Aditya, and who is he playing? Okay, so Thailand's reserve is actually playing instead of Apparat. RTGF17. Yeah, who is that? Let me see. It's Natapat. Okay, so it's Natapat. Let me just make sure that I have that I'm aware of that. Natapat. All right. So unfortunately, it's a little late to change my polls, but I can change everything else. And the matchup coverage too. Okay. So that is fixed, I think. Yeah, the only place that it's not going to be fixed is in the polls that I give you guys, but I think everywhere else, let me just see the coverage screen. Yes, it now does say Natapat instead of Apparat. And all right, let's see. Pointing out, oh, that did he have those letters? Did he have those letters when he played Jibe? So he can now follow up with a nice big K play in that spot. That would be pretty clever. So okay, so we didn't really miss too much, I don't think. Fate was played, which we liked. Yeah, Kami. Oh, but he has even better. He has Umiax. But will he opt to try? I don't think Umiax plays anywhere. If you could fit it here, but it doesn't quite fit with overlaps. So is he gonna chance enablings and Umiax? That being Sherwin here, he may feel like he has to, given the score. Oh, he does. So he takes a chance, and this is absolutely going to get challenged for an extra 5 points, and off it comes. Okay, so, I actually think that at this score, he's down by a fair amount. That was a defensible choice to hope that enablings was a word. It easily could have been, but it's going to burn him. In fact, in hindsight, you can see that there are pretty good plays like Kismet available. He could have played Kismat right here for 50-something points. Would have left 0-0. But if he's, if he thinks there's any chance of enablings being good, and I certainly would have in his shoes, I think it's very defensible to play that. But it is not a word, so that's going to be a tough loss of turn for him there. And it's back over to a Carapan who has VVX on his rack and only one vowel. So it's going to be tough to find a play that he likes to put on the board here, but I think Vrat will do okay. 21, it doesn't leave very well, but it at least has that nice attribute of the V out in space, preventing any parallel plays from going up there. And now we know conclusively that enablings isn't good. So I would probably think that just playing Vrat to that T is worth it here. Really the only threat to a Carapan after that is this lane right here, which he can work on closing at some other time. But if a Carapan were to exchange here instead, you could hardly fault him. Oh, he plays Vors instead. That's fine. I guess it scores a little bit better, and it uses one more tile. It uses an S, but that's okay. He's all right with that. So now Umiak's again, still on Sherwin's rack from last turn, as we know. And he plays Koa and Kiwis, which looks like a really good idea. The reason that's such a good idea is we know enablings isn't a word, but now Koas or Cohen both are valid words, and he set up a hook that he desperately needs on the board. So from Sherwin's perspective, if he draws something ending in S that happens to play here as well, he'll have two spots to play it. So that looks like a pretty good idea. Back to a Carapan. He almost certainly, I would think, will play his X somewhere. The only question is, will he play Vexed for 42, or will he play Vax instead to respond to this Koa threat? He plays Vax. Looks like a good idea. Sherwin has a bingo. I'm not going to spoil it. Does anybody see it before I announce it? He should be able to see it and play it, but it is an obscure word. So it's not an obvious one that you would know without studying relatively deep in the dictionary. Let's see if Sherwin, this is a really, really big inflection point. He can play a 7-letter word here. So he really, really needs to see this and find this now. And he does. Missed bow. Very nicely done by Sherwin. It cuts the gap a fair amount. And the nice thing is that a Carapan is now saddled with the Q. So there are a couple different ways that a Carapan could go on this rack. Either he can dump the Q with something like QAT right now, or he can score. He can play something like Yin in the corner for 47, leaving the Q behind. So the nice thing about leaving the Q behind is the longer that he does that, the less likely he is to bingo. Okay, so he scores really well with Yin. Sherwin has good bingo tiles, but the board is not so good with it. Thank you for the follow to Time Woe. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoy the coverage of today's match. Yeah, Missed Bow was a nice find by Sherwin for sure. So right now, Sherwin off to a slow start in this game. Again, no fault of his own. He just drew poorly to start the game. And then he made a gamble of hooking an S onto enablings that set him back a little bit at a critical time. So hard to say how things would have gone after that, but I thought it was a defensible gamble. It just didn't work out. I don't really know the ing words as well as I should. They're just not that fun to memorize and learn. So that's just an area of weakness, certainly for me, and I think many other players struggle to remember which words ending in ing can add an S. So what should Sherwin do here? This is tough because easily the best scoring spot on the board is underneath here. You can score a lot of points to the triple that way. The problem is it doesn't open any new space. He needs bingo lines. So he may be apt to play something shorter here. It's not going to be ideal. The only letter that he can really put here that is very flexible is a T. So if he plays something like T, I don't know. This doesn't look great either, but maybe even just something like ton. Oh, that doesn't look good to me. It just looks like it gets hammered in response. But the reason that you would even consider a play like this is because it at least gives you a spot to play a bingo at some point. So let's see what he's opted to do. Oh, Nitrox. That looks like a much better way to open a little space in a way that shouldn't yield as much back, but it is going to yield a big Q play back. I think a Carapon will be apt to burn his blank here and play something like Quids or Quint. Maybe not Quint because it takes a lot of hooks afterwards, but maybe he'll add the E on. It's possible. So I think I like the idea of Nitrox, but I think it's gonna be a tough blow to Sherwin when a Carapon gets down his Q here, I would expect. But we'll see what he elects to do. He can't quite fit Squinted onto the board, unfortunately. That would be a humongous play. I don't think that fits, but yeah, something burning the blank in that spot definitely looks like it's called for here, just because the Q in that spot right here really completely restricts access here, and it very, very greatly restricts access there. Okay, he has played Quint. And I think a bingo on Sherwin's rack doesn't fit. Of emulged, I believe that's a word. So he'll be able to play something with the Quint hook of the E, but it's not. That's really not what he needs at this score. He's down 120. He needs bingos, and he needs them really fast. So I think it's going to be tough sledding here for the rest of this game for Sherwin. A Carapon looks like he's firmly in control. Carapon does have a very low amount of time left. I don't think that's likely to matter either. Okay, so D-Gum goes down with that Quint hook with the E. Looks like a solid play. Let's see, did he... I had pointed out, oh, wait a second, he missed, oh, wait, no, he didn't miss Emulged. I've missed something in my Quackle, though. Udo goes down. Oh, I see, I missed Bow, and then Yeen, and then... Yeah, there we go, now I'm better. Yeah, D-Gum looks like it's roughly as good as Guillaume. Udo is played by Carapon, and okay, now I'm back up to date. So just for the record, I'm trying to stay on top of at least one game per round that has Quackle statistics as well. If people are curious what Quackle thinks about the feature game, it's going to be hard for me to stay on top of all the games because we are going to be hopping from game to game, of course, but you can see Quackle estimates Sherwin's winning percentage as basically 0. I'm sure that the 0.15% winning chances that you see there are from sequences that are not likely to actually occur in the game. So at some point here in the near future, we're going to get some results from the first round of games. Why don't I'm just going to see really quickly. Okay, I think it must be in the middle of a round for Australia and Nigeria, which is definitely still underway, but I'm sure that more results are in now than were before. So we'll see. Once I'm keeping one half of an eye on that matchup just to see that we can declare a winner in that match and find out which of those two teams between Australia and Nigeria is going to make the bracket. So yeah, the Quackle valuation versus GM and D-Gum. Sure, I can. So it's a slight favorite for GM just right off the bat. you can see keeping the D is statically very strong along with EL, but on this particular board, it really doesn't matter. You can just see that there is nowhere for those words to play. So I doubt that the two would be any different in simulation. If we just get some of these other plays out. Yeah, see, it's not very different. Thank you to KJ Wayne 20 for the follow. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the coverage here. We're bringing you 2 matches in a row. Nice play by a Karapon of Casa there, by the way, with missed bows. That's a nice way to score a bunch more points. So he's just up by so much. Oh, that's interesting. Sherwin challenges that. I wonder if he was unsure of missed bow or just he played it as kind of like a on a prayer that it was good, because he challenged it for 5 points, which is kind of surprising. So the bag is empty. A Karapon has an N and 3 E's for Sherwin to contend with. Sherwin with the bingo of Lettier on his rack, which is obviously far too late. There's just not much going on this board as far as bingoing. So it definitely looks like a Karapon cruising here to a win. Nice play by Sherwin. He plays deal. That looks like one of the top end games available there. Responsive Een, and we are quickly headed towards the end of the game. Nicely done by a Karapon to come away with a win there. So let's see. It looks like almost all the games are done. Maybe one more. Oh, okay. No, this is... Okay, yeah, Jakrit and Udayan, wow, are locked into an extremely close game here. But obviously, Jakrit is about to win with the last of the tiles. So, all right, that looks like it will do it for round 1. So I will get polls up for round 2. We should have our pick of whichever game you guys want to watch. I'm going to get the results together for round 1, and feel free to vote. Again, we are now into round 2, and of course, just for the record, anytime you see Apparat in a poll, it looks like their sub, Natapat, is playing for him today. Okay, let me see. So that was a win for Thailand. Sherwin falling to a Karapon in game 1. It looks like Napat defeated Nakul, so another win for Thailand to start. Aditya defeated, again, it's going to be Natapat, not Apparat, so that was a nice job for India there. And Jakrit defeated Udayan. So it's looking like a pretty good round to start for... Yeah, it looks like Thailand is going to be up 4-1 to start, so nicely done to them. Okay, very, very strong. Everybody voting for Aditya versus Napat, which looks like a pretty good matchup to me. So we will absolutely use that as our feature game for our next round for sure. Thanks for the votes, guys. Always like it when we can get a little bit of input. All right, those players have started. So these are 2 younger players who have absolutely ran roughshod through this event so far. And Napat going first and Aditya responding. It looked like a pretty bingo prone rack for Napat, and he opted to, I think that poll is pretty conclusive. We don't think we need it any longer. All right, so the score after round 1, it looks like it is going to be India 1 and Thailand 4. So a good start for Team Thailand. But as we've seen over and over again, it is absolutely, it's too early to say anything. There have been a number of matchups in this event where absolutely wild swings back and forth, including just earlier this weekend, a match where Singapore versus Canada, where both teams knew going into the matchup that they were going to make the bracket. So there wasn't as much drama to it to start, but there started to be drama when Canada went up 9-1 in that match and ended up only winning 13-12. So a furious comeback by Team Singapore. Fell just short, but Singapore, again, will be making the bracket anyway. All right, so I think Napat had a decent bingo rack, exchange tiles, and drew the blank on his exchange. So he will definitely be exchanging now. Aditya counter-exchanged with a relatively strong bingo rack of his own. So I think the best thing that Napat could do here is to just find something good, and exactly. That is exactly what happened. He exchanged OE with ADENR and drew E blank, which if you're trying to bingo, drawing E blank is a nice combination to do it with. So the best thing he could do here is probably just pick something quickly. Obviously, if you could, you would like to use the blank as a letter that's already being played from ADENR. The reason for that is you just want to give your opponent as few extra letters as you can. I think I would play derned here because the blank would be a D. There already is a D coming on the board. Every extra letter that you put on the board, okay, so he's put a Y on the board. That's fine. I mean, it's not a big mistake. And the nice thing about deanery in that spot is maybe that is the best play, maybe even better, because it gets the D on the valuable double letter score. It doesn't put vowels next to these double letter scores, and it doesn't take any hooks. So deanery looks like a really good option, very defensive, good option for Napat there. So I'm liking that choice. Putting a Y on the board is really it's not anything to worry too much about. Not a great bingo tile. So yeah, there's certain letters I can see, like maybe Aditya was hoping for an L to be played for this odd word. Instead, no L goes down, and Aditya has to play a non-bingo of lay. That looks pretty good, leaving D-I-N-E. That's definitely a strong set of letters for him to bingo with next turn. So I think that's a reasonable choice. Napat draws the Q, and this is not looking like a great board for it at all. I can't imagine how he's going to get the Q off of his rack. Oh, we got a raid. Hello. There it is. Let's see how many people comply with the raid phrase that Jeremy has set up. Welcome, everybody. So what happened in that matchup between Australia and Nigeria? It looked like Australia had the upper hand when I saw the standings last, but what was the end result of that matchup? Who is making the bracket from that contest? Very curious. Australia 14, Nigeria 11. Okay. So congrats to Australia for making the bracket. Once again, as we wait for Napat to come up with his move here, we'll just go have a look and we'll see officially now that is going to be Australia in that top right part of the bracket. So commiserations to Team Nigeria. Really, really strong group that they were in, but you can see now that it actually is going to be Australia from that group. There we go. So now all of the spots in the bracket you can see are set. We've got Australia beating Nigeria up in that top left. So India and Thailand, which we're watching right now. Obviously, that is not set in stone that their opponent will be Australia. It does matter how many games they win. So a really big blowout win for either team. If you just look at the pool play standings, again, the win totals matter for the two teams that win. Whichever team that wins, that has the most individual game wins, will be the team that plays Australia. Whereas the winning team with fewer individual wins will play Team Pakistan. So obviously, if you just look, Australia, a really strong team, and Pakistan has been running roughshod through the bracket. So I don't think there's too much to hope for in that way. Like, you're going to get a really difficult opponent either way. Okay, so we missed a couple plays in this game. You can see that with his rack containing the Q, Napat played yak in an aggressive way, but he did hold an S when he did that. So that looks like a great way to pump the value of his S up. And now he has to decide whether he wants to play Sook in that spot or whether he wants to keep the Q for this valuable spot next to Daenerys, which was the bingo that Aditya just played. Excuse me. So this is actually not a clear-cut choice. He does opt to play Sook. There were definitely other ways he could have gone there. Keeping the Q was absolutely defensible. He could also have played Bugsha right here. I believe he had a B on his rack. So he could have gone a completely different direction from both of those. But hard to argue with Sook there. I think, did he have another S on that rack? I don't know. I think he had SUQ. I don't remember the other letter that he had. Aditya responds with a beam nearly instantly. So that's a really, really strong play. Welcome to everybody that's coming over, obviously, from Jeremy's channel. I hope you guys enjoyed that coverage. I watched a bit of it when I woke up. It was mostly in the middle of the night. Which is great that Scrabble, I mean, how often do you get to watch Scrabble at all times of the day or night? That's just fun. So this game started out with a bingo for, oh, I'm sorry, the names are not correct. Let me get that right. This is Aditya versus Napat. And if I'm forced to, if I'm asked very nicely, I will take a stab at pronouncing Napat's last name, which I believe is Vatjaranurathorn. Vatjaranurathorn. Did I get the intonation right? Almost certainly not, but I'm doing my best. It's kind of funny that somebody with a 5-letter first name could have the longest name in the tournament, but he does. The longest combined name, first and last. But Napat, not to joke, because he is doing awesome in this tournament so far. Going into this week 3 matchup with India, he was 9-1, which I felt pretty good. I was 9-1, and I got destroyed this week. Not destroyed. I went 2-3 against Ireland. So Napat with a great chance to potentially be the top individual performer in this entire tournament as a very young player. Okay, thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. I almost got it correct. Yeah, pity for Nigeria. Really tough group. Nigeria, I mean, some of these groups, every group is difficult in this event, but Group B with Pakistan, Australia, and Nigeria, and only 2 of those 3 could win. I mean, you saw what happened to poor South Africa in that group. South Africa, a strong team in their own right, but the other 3 are just powerhouses in the Scrabble world right now. So it's 2 teams. Only 2 of those teams can make it, which is a shame. As we see Wafer be played. That's interesting. There were other options available. Those very same letters could have played right here if he wanted, but perhaps he was uncomfortable with the overlaps alongside a beam. So definitely more points to be had just playing Fa and Welks if he wanted. 6 more, in fact. But there could be positional reasons that he wanted to make that play. So just for the record, a beam is an adjective, nothing goes here. Daenerys is a plural, nothing goes here. So no action is going to be forthcoming on the bottom part of the board. So that is somewhat locked down. It's actually really important. A really important letter here is an I to be able to play alongside the Q down from Sook. So I like Aditya's play of on there because he kept a really good bingo leave that contained an I in it. So it's possible that he'll hit something with Chi going down, and he may also luck into something that ends in the D of Deanery. So those are available. Oops, sorry. Yes. Yeah, we'll see how I'm doing. That's a very generous offer. I could be completely out of gas, so we'll see what happens. I don't really have a setup for 2 cams right now. That's definitely something where I don't even know what's happening for the bracket phase, but I definitely anticipate with fewer matches, we can pump up the production value and have co-commentators and stuff like that. So definitely for that part, I don't even know yet how Coco wants to do it. I certainly abide by whatever they choose. Okay, so Napat plays Baguette. That's very tasty sounding to me this early in the morning. I would love to have a baguette. And I think this rack looks pretty familiar to me. What did... Okay, no, he had 2 N's on his last rack. Okay, so Aditya had a very close rack to this. He played ON and he drew OL back. So I'm just wondering... yes, hello also to Oglehat in the chat, who in a perfect world you would be listening to the dulcet tones of Ed doing this matchup, but happy to step in as needed, and hopefully we can all join the world in broadbandness at some point and have a truly global stream. Doesn't have to just be me waking up at all hours of the morning. Okay, so Aditya plays low. That looks okay. I mean, again, as I had just said, there really was nothing going on the bottom of the board, so it's not like he's blocking anything by playing his L and O there, and he keeps his eye. He's giving the same leave a try. He had, after on, his leave was diner, and after low, his leave again is diner. So he's looking to hit something here. And again, you could imagine him hitting the D of deanery as well, and it's just not happening for him. Nice play by Napat of them. That looks like it closes the E and T of Baguette and scores quite nicely besides. So we like that idea. What to do for Aditya? He's got the wrong tiles. The wrong tiles for this particular board. So he plays Nid. He left another N when he played Nid, so potentially he was hoping to set up plays with Chin there, but Napat instantly plays Zoe for 51, which it looks like this is sort of a tale of 2 players with different types of tiles, and this board is not very good for bingoing, and it seems to be working out for scoring for Napat. Even though it doesn't look like a great board for scoring, he's found a way to get a bunch of points, certainly more than Aditya has. Aditya's highest tile that he's drawn in the past few turns, until he's just picked up the J and P, was the D. He's had only 1-point tiles other than that this entire time, while he's seen the W, the F, the H, the M, the Z, and the other H be played by his opponent. So very different. Yeah, good point. Deanery and denary. 2 very similar sounding words side by side together. Who knows what? I wonder what other word could be played in that. Maybe denary. Well, at one point, Aditya was close to dineros, so maybe he could have played dinero somewhere. Deanery, denary, and dinero would have been the nice combination. Okay, so Jin goes down almost out of desperation, and of course, quick parallel that scores quite nicely in response. So Napat's run his lead up to over 100 points. And it's just one of those games. I'm not sure I've seen any moves from Aditya that I disagree with strongly. It's just one of those games where it feels like you're cursed. Overland and overlard. That's even better. That's an even better combination. All right, so proved goes down. And very quickly up waft is played, and almost even more quickly it's challenged because it blocked tipplers, I think, or maybe other anagrams of that. So Okay, but filters does finally go down for Aditya, so it's not too late for him. The only problem is the board is really bad. Um, so it's hard. So basically, it seems pretty clear that Aditya is going to need another bingo, and it's hard to see where that bingo will fit anywhere. So he got filters down. That's a nice play. And Napat has to be careful that he doesn't open anything needlessly. He also, well, I guess his saving grace for opening things is that he has the second blank. So if he wants, so there you go. Wow. Okay. So he has. I mean, that's not particularly scary of an opening, but that's the sort of thing that Aditya is happy to see because it just means another open tile. So basically, from his perspective, he has to do something now to open up another spot on the board and just hope to get lucky. 9 tiles in the bag. It's definitely a red flag that Napat would open anything at all when he doesn't absolutely have to. I don't know. I mean, something like ice, that doesn't look very inspiring at all, but at least it gets a second threat on the board. Unfortunately, the score is such that, okay, he plays Reba for 25. That's obviously a far better score. But again, I'm just wondering where, once that O of outgo gets played through or blocked with something maybe parallel to up waft, there's just nowhere to play. But maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay to take a lot of extra points with Reba and then try to open something better closer to the end of the game when you know what your odds are, what tiles you can draw. Yeah, that's true about outgo. Blocking the O proved it doesn't really give anything back that was not already available. So that's a good point that it doesn't really add too much more to the board than already existed. In fact, it might take a little bit of the sting out of a lot of the bingos that would play through no, because now they don't hit any word modifiers. So Napat's got a blank here. He's probably looking hard. You can see I'll cut to the quackle. This is the best play that he has. No bingos available, but from his perspective, he's got a look. This looks like pretty promising through the O. That there might be something. It happens that there is not. As we'll close our quackle down. So this is not an ironclad, obviously winning every time scenario for Napat, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good to me. I would even consider something as boring as like LEU here. It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like you can lose after that very much, but maybe that's too defensive. I'm not sure. With a blank in hand. I'm just realizing now that if somehow Napat can get a bingo that makes the blank a K, he could play. I think that's a word, right? Yeah, so he could play that K hook of Yak if he wanted. It would be very, very difficult to get a blank with a K. Kayak. I don't think there's anything else with a K. Yes, I felt that my word choice when I said word modifiers, I felt that was strange coming out of my mouth, but I hoped that nobody would think too hard about it. Okay, so Glee is played. And tauntingly close to Sovietic does not actually fit on the board, unfortunately. I believe that would be a valid word through an O, but it doesn't quite fit. Yeah, Glee, that's interesting. So Glee is especially interesting because it sets up an A hook here, which he did not have when he played that. He may have just drawn it. You can see there's one E available in the unseen pool, which is right here, right? Sorry, 1A, I meant to say. 1A available for the ugly hook, but that's something that could burn him pretty badly now. Just because there is a sevens lane on the board. So it's possible you can see that Aditya does not have the A, and so by that token, he clearly Napat could have just drawn his own setup, which would be kind of funny. Thank you for the follow, King of Lettuce. There's a name I've seen, an active name in the chat. Hopefully you enjoy the coverage of this matchup. So India off to a slow start in this matchup, and it looks like they're going to drop this game, barring something pretty crazy on Aditya's part to open more space. Yeah, I was thinking a suggestion like that is actually warranted, and I actually was, vice to the E approved right here. That looks like a reasonable option, and the reason I think we could see that from Aditya is I'm thinking back to a game between, maybe Sive. Yeah, I want something like that, whatever it may be. Maybe even just ice. I have no idea. But we've seen Aditya make plays like that before. I remember seeing it in the crazy, crazy matchup between the UK and India, which the United Kingdom won round 5 by a margin of 5-0 when they absolutely had to in order to win the match. Going into that game, the score of that match was 12-8 in India's favor, and the UK won every game. But Aditya played James Curley, and he made a really nice play to give himself a chance to win the game, which was almost exactly like this play that we're proposing here to the E of proved. So he is not averse to, he's, figuring that situation out. I wonder if Sive allows X plays that outrun any bingo. Possibly. Yeah, exact. There's definitely a ton of stuff that can hurt you there. So he's got to worry about that X as well, for sure. So it's a complicated position. I think certainly if you just play ice, maybe the winning scenario is that the X is somehow still in the bag and he feels that, and Napat, after a play like this, feels compelled to block the spot because not only is it a bingo lane, but an X lane, and then you somehow hit the O of outgo or Glee and catch Napat with the X. I think that's probably the very, very narrow pathway that you would need if you were to make a play like Ice or Vice or Sive in that spot. Not very likely. In fact, because of how unlikely that is, I think I would rather actually not play 3 tiles here. I might actually prefer to just play ice. It looks insane, but I think you somehow have to hope that, well, boy, I mean, with this pool, how is Napat ever not bingoing after that play? Either he has the X or he has a bingo, and both outcomes are bad, so I don't think that can be the right play. I'm not sure what is, but I don't think it's that, because there's no way that works out well. I don't know. This is a toughie. Just trying to come up with some kind of good idea. Sometimes there's nothing that good. Okay, so interesting. So Aditya goes for just, I wonder if he probably read Glee as a setup for a Glee. I'm sure that he looked at Glee and was like, wow, Napat will never do that without the A, so at least I have to address that now. And maybe I draw the blank and play something with Kayak. I mean, that's as likely as anything else. But of course, to Aditya's shock, probably, he just drew the A and the X in one go. So it looks like a play like Ice would have just gotten burned pretty hard by simple bingos. So that couldn't have been correct. But yeah, Evict that's true. The E of Evict is a lane. He's setting up a lane for himself to deal with. That's a nice idea. So evict blocks a Glee, sets up another lane for himself that potentially pairs with the O if he draws well enough. That was actually, I think that's probably as good of a play as I could imagine finding in that situation. It's a tough position. So I like the thought process behind that. Again, he's probably stunned to have actually drawn the A after that, because there was a decent chance that he could have, not a very good chance, but some chance he could have had the A himself after Glee, and then been able to fish somewhere else for words that played with the Glee or to the O about Go. Okay, so this game is coming right down to the clocks are near zero, so I bet that a lot of the other games have completed. So let's just see what's going on. It looks like Sherwin has defeated Yannikit, so that's a very critical win for India to get back in the right column here. Let's see about Mohan. It looks like Nadapat defeated Mohan Chunkath. So another win for Thailand. Udayan Grover is playing a game right now. It looks like Jakrit defeated him in that game. So there's going to be another win for Thailand. So Thailand is in danger of running their total up pretty high. Oh, wait a second. How many games is Jakrit playing? Oh, yeah. Okay, Nakul Prabhu did defeat Jakrit Klafajon. And in this game, it looks like... Oh, wow, what's going on here? Okay, yeah, so it does look like I wasn't watching the last couple of moves as I get all the results. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the matchup coverage. I will get my poll up for round 3 to see what you guys want to see. We got tons more people here now from Jeremy's stream, so hopefully feel free to look over the matchups. It's Mohan versus Napat, who we just saw. Sherwin, again, Aparat is on the poll, but it's actually Nadapat, his substitution. Udayan versus Yannikit, Nakul versus Sakarapan, and Aditya versus Jakrit. A lot of good matchups here, some of which have already started. So let me see here. Yeah, everybody feel free to take a look at those matchups, and whichever you want. Obviously, we're going to try to get as many as we can. So a 4-1 win for Thailand in round 1 and a 3-2 win in round 2 means that they are now up by a score of 7-3 in the early going. So let's see, we'll head back here. The poll will still be up and we can just latch on to whatever game we can. So we just did have, oops, somebody followed and it's being blocked by the poll. Thank you to Louis Dre for the follow. Hope you enjoy the coverage here of the Virtual World Cup. Appreciate it. Okay, so it looks like Aditya and Jakrit as a popular, and that is a good matchup too. So I'm very happy to cut to that. Those two players have not started yet. Akarapan is, oh, wait a second. Is this? Was I? Oh, okay. Well, I must have misread this because this is the previous round's game between let me get the flags correct. I think this is a round 2 game here. Yeah, so I spoke too soon. This game is not actually over. So it's possible the players are just going to wait. The game is very close to over, obviously, and yeah, well, why don't we just stick with this for a minute? So it looks like Aditya doing well on the poll, which I'm just going to hide for a second. We'll bring it up once this game is over. Yeah, most of the players appear to be watching this game just to wait, and that is great from a broadcasting perspective, just to have all of the games in each round jump off at roughly the same time. Here, I'll try to, here's what I'll do. I'll make the poll smaller so it's still on the screen. And obviously these names are reversed. And this is Udayan versus Akarapan. Okay, there we go. So now we got the poll up. If you can, well, Thailand is doing well, but they're doing no better than Canada did against Singapore, and that matchup still ended up incredibly close. You guys came back just ferociously. So there's plenty of time for things to revert and for the ebbs and flows of each matchup to exert themselves. It's definitely, and we were up huge against Ireland as well, and then they 5-0'd us. Okay, so this is a really actually super interesting position. You can see that the pool is incredibly bingo prone, but because of the C right here, it definitely limits the amount of options that a Carapan has here. So it looks like something as blocky as he can muster in this area is definitely called for. I think so. The suggestion just now of Tonier, that seemed like a decent idea actually, Raheel, but Orient comes down instead. Wow. Okay, so that looks good, right? So the idea of Orient is simply that this sevens lane is easily the most flexible. So by playing Orient, you take that out. And it only gives back bingos from here. But amazingly, Udayan drew the blank right out of the bag. So that absolutely is a sight for sore eyes for Udayan, but he's got to play quick. He's got to figure out a play. Okay, all right. He got something down. That is a valid play. He literally just came 3 seconds away from potentially losing the game there. And Akarapan decides to challenge it just because he can't win otherwise. Okay. So that is actually going to be a win for India, which I had prematurely put as a win for Thailand. So that does change the complexion of the matchup just a bit. So now it's going to be 4-6, which does admittedly look a lot better than 3-7. So let me get that corrected. And as soon as Jakrit and Aditya get going, that's what we will focus on. That was a pretty strong performer in the poll. Here, I will put this poll up again. If anybody wants to keep voting, there is still time. The games have almost not started. Napat has only just now played Mohan. Yes, so the Thai roster, just a note for those that are just joining, Aparat Chumai is actually being replaced for this matchup by Natapat. But all the other players on Team Thailand are unchanged. Okay, so this is going to be round 3. The score of the match is going to be 4-6 in favor of Thailand right now. Okay, so I think the poll is pretty conclusive. We got a bunch of votes in it, so thank you everybody for voting in the poll. We're gonna latch on now to Aditya and Jakrit. They have just started. So let's end this poll and get it off the overlay. The names appear to be correct. The flags appear to be correct. The score and round are correct. And this is between Aditya and Jakrit. All right, very good. So we are in at the ground floor on this game. So let's really dig in and enjoy analyzing this game between two really good players. So once again, just to summarize, it's a very simple concept here in this match. Whichever team wins advances to the bracket stage, and whichever team loses is out. Almost the entire bracket is set now. So only a couple spots left for grabs, and they will be decided in the 2 final matchups of the week, which were very cleverly scheduled by Evans Clinchy, the director and organizer, and Jennifer Clinchy, the co-presidents, I guess, of the Collins Coalition, which is bringing you this tournament. They cleverly scheduled the most exciting matchups from a bracket standpoint for the end so that we have as much information as possible about who's in the tournament going forward. So, all right, Jakrit has a bingo here. Have I seen that? Has anybody suggested it? He has a playable bingo. Yes, and there it is. Nice play. Jakrit plays Puissant. And immediately Tolerate comes right back. I didn't have a chance to see that rack. But that looks like the best spot. There are obviously a couple different other bingos available there, like Areolate or Oleaster, Real Tone, pretty much almost every tile with that rack on this particular board, but Tolerate definitely the best positioning and score that you could get here. Let me see. All right. So, very high scoring rack here for Jakrit. I would think that just something like Whitey looks pretty good. That scores 44, gets a lot of the high pointers off. Not sure what else he might play here. I mean, there's definitely other words that play to that T, like witty or bawty or something like that. Maybe there's some element of the board where you want to keep a certain letter. Certainly keeping the T looks like a decent idea with bit there. That's the only hook to bit. Oh, wow, he plays withy there. That's an interesting choice. So that looks like it gives back a lot less, maybe in the way of like a triple word score or something. But I was definitely expecting some of those very same letters to play through the T of Tolerate. That's an interesting choice to me. I assume he just didn't want to give up. So playing here obviously gives a triple lane back, whereas playing withy does not. But that was a lot to give up. It was an 8-point sacrifice to play withy and bit here as opposed to playing whitey there. So it's a fair number of points on the scoreboard. Nice play and response too by Aditya of Demoy. That is, I think, an odd plural of demos. The Greek, you see some words ending in OI that are of Greek origin that have made it into our lexicon because presumably there is no appropriate English equivalent to express them, but that looks like a great play to score a whole bunch of points. Here we have the non-bingo of Banjis. Where is Benji Scrabble? Probably sleeping peacefully right now and not able to watch because of his inadequate commitment to Scrabble. Banjis. Banji Scrabble. It's a moving tribute. Unfortunately, that is not a word, but there should be as just a that is deadpan humor, folks. That is deadpan humor. Wow. Okay, so Jakrit plays J. I'm just now seeing that he had Janty here, right? He has Janty to the T of Tolerate. So just using that extra N would have scored a bunch more points. And if he was worried about plays going down the triple before, he would not have had to be worried with the J in that spot. So that looks like just a miss there. I can't imagine that was strategic. Aditya plays Lu. He has a bunch of vowels and overlaps with them quite nicely to score well. Of course, Jakrit has two S's, but he also has a Q that he's saddled with that is going to be very difficult to do much with, right? Like if that Q was a vowel here or something, he would almost surely have something good with alus going in that direction. But instead, it's hard to see how he's even going to use the Q here, actually. He almost certainly has to keep it. I wonder if he's going to do something like Snebs. I mean, that can't be right, can it? You can't burn. I don't think you can burn both your S's. Okay, he plays buys instead. That looks okay, I guess. I think I get the logic behind buys, just because you're keeping your Q, and if you're lucky enough to get an I, then you've got some spots to play it in that area. And he may feel that Liu is a little bit of a scary play for Aditya to make. Maybe he has an... Well, wait, no. Maybe he has a blank because those S's are case, actually, for Jakrit, meaning there are no more in the set to draw. So this a lose spot, boy, I don't know about that, actually. Now I'm thinking, like, why would you block this spot that only you can really capitalize on? But Jakrit does draw an I. Oh my god, okay, so the plays are coming real fast. So Aditya bombed his X in the corner after Jakrit's play of buys. Jakrit was lucky enough to get an I, but Aditya was super lucky enough to draw an 105-point bingo of Agonized, which puts him very firmly in command of this game. So those plays just came at a very rapid pace. Sorry for being a little bit slow on the uptake, but basically that was a pretty huge swing of the game. Jakrit was mostly doing pretty well, but then the X play plus the 100-point bingo have completely swung the game back in favor of Aditya. Wow, that came in pretty quick. So, yes, you can see that India's team is without their #1 seed, Akshay, today. That is a big loss. Akshay, a former world champion. Mohan is going to do his best to step into those shoes and have a good performance in his stead, but not easy to fill the shoes of somebody like Akshay. He's going to do his best. Right now, it's still very, tight. It's 4-6, India trailing Thailand. Winner advances in the bracket. And just a quick look. What does the bracket look like? You can see here. Here it is with a win today. Australia advancing to the bracket. And once again, just a caveat. Those spots for India and Thailand and Malaysia and the UK are not set in stone. Basically, whichever team emerges from Group A with the most individual wins after winning today will play Australia. And whichever team emerges with the second most wins, or I guess, who comes in second in Group A, will play Pakistan. Neither of which is an appealing prospect because Australia, we know they won the Alchemist Cup in a very similar team format, and Pakistan has just been crushing all comers, and they had the most individual wins in pool play by a narrow margin over some other really strong teams. Okay, so now we will prepare this screen, Aditya and Jakrit. So Jakrit had a bunch of vowels. I think his leave after Z was just canes. So that's a really, really good way to set up the last S that he has. There are no more S's available for Aditya to have. So he made a nice aggressive opening, especially with the score being as lopsided as it is. He's got to do something aggressive. But of course, Aditya will do his absolute best to block however he can. Something like Vino looks like a decent, not burning the blank. But something like this looks like a decent way to really cripple this hook a lot. It cuts it down to only as S in first position, playing down to the triple. So I don't know if that's a good equity play, but it's definitely a good positional response to a play like Z. The problem with a play like Z, though, is that given the score of the game, Jakrit could easily make a play like Z without the S and be hoping to draw it. So you don't have to read. So like there are many situations where a play like Z would be very, very like a red neon, flashing sign that your opponent has the S for sure, that they would never make that play. But at this score, Jakrit could play Z with a variety of racks that do not contain the S, and that he's just kind of wishfully thinking, hopefully I can draw it, it's my only chance. That being said, Aditya almost has to honor the possibility of him having the S, because even if the chances of him having it are a little bit lower at this score, you have to honor it because that looks like it's really the worst case scenario for him here. So I think I would like to see a play like Vino, just in the absence of, I mean, maybe there's some high-scoring play. I haven't looked through the A of Agni's super hard. But unless there's something really good through this A, okay, there it is. So, and Calms is on Jakreet's rack, which doesn't look like it would have played with Z's anyway. So it's definitely, it's not like, oh, that's going to, oh, sorry, that's going to play here. Yeah, okay, so there it goes. It scores 78, so... Oh, wow. All right, so Aditya determined to create a challenging situation for me as a streamer by playing a very, very nice find. Extremely beautiful find. He picked the other blank. And, you know, we're trying to become Twitch partner here. We're trying to provide wholesome content on Twitch. We're trying to provide Scrabble coverage, and I just don't know. I just don't know about that word, but I think it's okay, right? We can say fuckwit. I've heard people scream the F-bomb on their streams. So, beautiful play. We will give him his props. We will say that he has played fuckwit. That is a really, really nice find with both blanks. Imagine bingoing with KFCWU. So that's an awesome play by Aditya. What can you say? That's really, really nice, and you know that had to have been the best. Oh, not only is it the best, it looks like it's the only bingo available. So 104 points. It would have probably been okay from his perspective to play a lot of these other plays that you're seeing. Once again, maybe the less time spent on that screen, the better. Oh, do we have that classic Twitch number of 69 viewers? Okay, well, hopefully people can leave. We don't want to do any better than that. So if we go up into the 70s, I'm going to need people to leave the stream so we can keep the numbers at 69, especially after we just had fuckwits be played in this game. Just kidding. We're going for big numbers, folks. Wow, okay, so this game really swung quite a bit. Jakreet was doing quite well in the early going. Actually, he never was like super far ahead, but it certainly was not. Good morning, Gideon. It was certainly not this lopsided in Jakreet's favor, but Aditya has certainly swung things quite a bit. Given that, let's see, do we still, I don't remember who else is up on... Who else is doing well in the poll? But let's see. Who's somebody we have not seen play yet? Because this game is pretty well decided, I would think. We haven't seen... I don't think we've seen Yannickit or Udayan play yet. So why don't we do that? Let me see. I'll get the numbers correct. And Yannickit. Okay, so Yannickit, I think a lot of the players on Thailand's team here are youth players that are kind of rising up, I believe. I actually don't know for sure if Yannickit is a youth player. I know that Napat is. Gideon, I'm going to be streaming a long time this morning, so you'll get your... I'm not going to stream later today, but I'm streaming now, and then there's going to be another matchup directly after this that I'm streaming, so I'll probably be on for 5 or 6 hours. So if you're looking for your fix, you're going to get it this morning from me. So then I'm going to collapse in a heap. Okay, so this game, I went to this game to see some players we haven't seen play much, and it looks like Udayan is absolutely crushing Yannickit in this. So maybe we can find a closer game available. Let's try Sherwin. Okay, this fits the bill. This does fit the bill. Which word? Oh, the word that Aditya played. Welcome to Alchemist9189, by the way. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. Oh, let me change these nameplates again. So this is, let's see. It is, first of all, Thailand on top, and it is Natapat versus Sherwin. Okay, there we go. So now we actually have an interesting game. Yeah, I don't think that F word is probably banned by NASPA because the idea of it is that a fuckwit is somebody that can be any creed or race or ethnic group. That's the beauty of being a fuckwit. It transcends ethnic boundaries. Wow. Okay, so big bingo. It looks like we caught a pretty big inflection point of this game, except that Sherwin is going to probably respond with something like by 4-8 and even up the game. So with 8 tiles in the bag, a lot is going to... you see 8 tiles in the bag. A lot is going to boil down to, is either player going to pick some other good set of bingo tiles out of the bag? Also, the board is going to be horrible for bingoing after a play like by 4-8 to the B. I think Sherwin potentially does not have to bingo now, though, if he doesn't want to. If he has a play that scores a bunch of points, it might behoove him to play it. Like, I wonder, is it ever possible to just play Fora? Excuse me. Look like the stream has a little lag there. Hopefully that stabilizes. Just a couple drop. Yeah, it looks like it has. Knock on wood. I just wonder if, from Sherwin's perspective, does it ever make sense? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I can't believe it. Sternine. Ooh. Oranurans. Oh, my God. An incredible break for Natapat in this game where Sherwin bingos with by 4-8 to take a narrow lead. And like I said, is either player going to manage to draw something from that pool, which was very bingo prone. It was almost all low point letters. So it was not impossible that obviously Natapat got first crack at it because Sherwin was the one on turn. But he had bingos playable to the A and T of Orbita, and that's going to probably do it for this game. So, all right, so it's looking like the round 3 games are sort of headed to their conclusions, or, well, actually, we cut away from some that were blowouts. Like this Udayan game, if I just go to the backup so we don't have to do the nameplates every time, you can see that Udayan Grover is really up huge on Yadakit Sirisup. How is Mohan doing? It looks like Mohan is firmly in control against Napat, who has a Q which may not be playable here. Gideon, it looks like India is having a really good round here. It's looking really strong for India. So if we go to the matchup coverage screen, it looks like Mohan is definitely winning this game. Sherwin did just have I think he's going to have a tough loss against Natapat, but Udayan was up huge in his game. He's up by 140. Hard to imagine him not winning. Nakul is up pretty big on a Karapan. Actually, we can cut into this game. And Aditya we saw in firm command of his game with Jakrit. So this is looking like it's setting up exactly the way India needs to get back in the match. So why don't we cut back to Nakul, which this game has the most to go, and actually given a Karapan's rack. Wow, so that's so we can see the most recent event that occurred in this game was Nakul's play of cheese right here, which had that not gone down, mustier would be being played right now. So, yikes. That would be a big swing had a Karapan been able to play that. Let me get the nameplates correct. I'm sorry. This is a Karapan versus Nakul Prabhu, and we'll get the score looking right. There we go. Okay, so now we're all set up for this game, watching a little bit. So the trick now is what to do with your bingo rack that doesn't play anywhere. Oh, it almost even fits here. If you guys know the plural of bendies, you can actually put an S onto that. But LU is not a word. Did we see, was I wrong that the word LU came up in the Canada match. Did Tony play that? Okay, so some is played for 32, burning the S. That is interesting because it doesn't really open any more space anywhere. I wonder, if there was any better way to create a little space on the board. Maybe not. I mean, it's not easy to do here. So Nakul with a really good rack. But again, the board is not supportive to it. But maybe there's something that fits here again. Who is my favorite baseball team? I don't really have a favorite baseball team, but I love Major League Baseball. I'm a very avid fantasy baseball player, so I pretty much know all the teams pretty well. So if you have a favorite, I definitely know a lot about that team because I know every team. All right, what to do here? Maybe just if you have that blank and you just want to play something like Omas, that might be reasonable because by putting this S out in space, by holding the blank, you are much likelier to hit it yourself. Etheridge 2, go Cardinals. Yes, I've been a proud Jack Flaherty owner in fantasy for a while, and obviously I've been patiently waiting Harrison Bader to blossom. I think he's going to be a great player soon. Who do I support in the NBA? Same thing. I don't really. I'm technically a Knicks fan, but it's very, very dark times to be a Knicks fan. So I basically am the same way in the NBA, where I just follow the whole league as a whole. So know a lot about a lot of the teams who've played fantasy basketball for many years, much to my wife's chagrin. She doesn't care that much for fantasy basketball. She's very tolerant of my fantasy sports. Okay, so Nakul plays Dit. That is an interesting play. That is going to backfire badly. Thank you for the follows to Oh Look Cake. I know we had Etheridge 2 in the chat too. Did I miss somebody else who followed the channel? I really appreciate the follows. They definitely help me grow my channel, which we're trying to do here on behalf and for the sake of Scrabble as a whole. But let's talk about Dit there. That was pretty interesting. I'm not sure I like that play. It doesn't score enough to get that lane out on the board. I'm sure that there were other things he could have done. Also, he sort of fell into the trap of his bingos, or his rack was demanding that he try to bingo when the score of the game was not demanding that. So, yeah, we'll see. Oh, thank you for the sub, Benji. Appreciate that. Tried to bring in a raid of non-Scrabble people and didn't realize it was disabled. So that's odd because I did just get a raid earlier from Jeremy Koo when his stream was done. So I don't know any protection that I have against raiding. So we already had a successful raid on the channel earlier in the stream. So I apologize for that. I don't know why that occurred. But thank you very much. I appreciate at least the attempt. And thank you, Benji, for the sub. My man, Benji Scrabble. We had a rack of Banjis where I shouted you out. And I jokingly said, why are you not up at 7 a.m. where your inadequate commitment to Scrabble saddens me? But that was obviously a joke because you are up at 7:30 a.m. to watch Scrabble. So yeah, we did have Banjis. But okay, so Nakul is now in a bit of a tough situation here. He's given up the bingo of Wyrius to Karapon. This game, which we had thought was pretty well in his control, is now in some trouble. I wonder what he's going to do to create a little bit of space here. I mean, he could just play something like this. just to get in the way of that spot. Yeah, I didn't like Dit very much either, but I can tell you the mistake that he made again is just having a really good bingo rack, and the board is not great for it, and he was playing to his tiles more so than the score of the game. So that's kind of an educational situation where first and foremost you should definitely be playing to the score of the game as opposed to your tiles. I myself I definitely sort of break that rule often. Sometimes I'm winning a game and my tiles really indicate that I should play openly and go for another bingo. And I think there are times when I make plays that make defensive players angry when I make them. Thank you for the Emmy spam. I'm sure she appreciates that. Okay, so there. Oh, wow. It's only going to go bad to worse. So Nakul plays Ta to try to open some space for his blank and his E and I and other. Well, he doesn't have an I, but Ta is going to hook with an I or an E here. And Niobate is going to come down. So what is that thing that I do during school tournaments? Just talk endlessly without stopping. Because I know I do that, but I think I'm explaining stuff. Yes, well, I tried to explain. Hopefully people find it useful to hear my thoughts on things, but that's what I'm here for. So yeah, I would think Niobate is going to be played. The only question he's thinking, yeah, so here's the thing. Oh, wow, and felons. Oh my God, and felons. Holy crap. Is he gonna see it? So I was literally about to say the trick with the Ta positioning is, should he have played Ita instead to avoid making that triple lane, which he has to know that Nakul is strong. Oh my God. So if you were to play Ita hooking the I instead of the E, you avoid the situation that's happening right now where there is a valid word. There is a valid word through that N. The only question is, does Nakul know this word and is he going to find it? Oh man, this is huge. This is huge. He's got 2 minutes to look. He found it. Oh my God, what a swing. Holy crap. Holy crap. Okay, but this game is still, oh wow, even after that. Okay, Karapon says he's lost contact. I'm sure he's going to come back shortly. He only has, all right, let me try to figure out what's going on here as fast as I can. The pool, so now the bag is empty. The letters that Nakul just drew are very bad. A Karapon has the Z, and he's got a great place to play it for a humongous score right here. He can play phase right there. I'm sure there's other stuff available. Oh, he doesn't need Theta and phase. He can play it with Zeta for more points. He can play phase here even more, right? So that is going to be huge. Another factor is he only has 11 points. He has 11 seconds left. Eventually, oh, he's back. Sorry. Oh, wow. I'm not sure what's going on here. If he's about to... That clock is not accurate. Okay, he plays Azine, setting up his F. Does Nakul have any kind of play that's going to outrun EF in the endgame? What about just him? That scores 30, but LPV is not going to be enough to outrun his F in that spot. I think a Karapon is going to manage to win this game. I'm not sure if he took a time penalty or not, though. Oh my God, this is bonkers. Yeah, that would be really funny if there was a play like that. Unfortunately not. Yeah, I think Nakul is sunk because of that draw. There were so many things that could have happened after in Felons where he would have won the game. Obviously, it was crazy enough that he was given an opportunity to play in Felons. But yeah, this game looks like after the twists and turns back and forth, it looks like Thailand is going to come away with a win here. I think my timer is definitely messed up for a Karapon. I don't think he is over. I don't know if he's even over time. Okay, so him is played, and then a very simple play of EF is going to be more than enough with the extra. I mean, even before the extra points. Okay, so holy crap! All right, so that is a win for Thailand. That could have gone either way. All right, so still a solid effort here for India in that round. So it looks like they narrowed the gap just a little bit to 7-8 is now the score. That was a pretty intense game for sure. Here, let me move this score just a, oops, let me move this score just a little. There we go. That's better. All right, let's get the poll up for the next round. That was pretty intense, you have to admit. So some of these games have started, but feel free to pop your choice in the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. You can just type the number that you want. Again, keeping in mind that where you see Apparat, it's actually Natapat. Sherwin versus Napat does look like a pretty good. Oh wow, they're already well into their game too. So it's absolutely overwhelming support for that game. So let's go to that one then. So that's going to be Annoyer is Napat and Sherwin, and we will get the score right. Okay, so sorry that we're sort of well into this game. We just saw Detoxing apparently be played as an extension. That looks pretty nice. But it's a nice close game. It's not a blowout, so we'll see if we can catch up a little bit to it. Game between Napat and Sherwin. So again, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it is currently India 7, Thailand 8, so it's nice and close. And once again, what is at stake? A trip to the bracket. The winner makes it in. The loser is done. So it's very, very simple to figure out what are the stakes here. Every team in Group A, which we're seeing a matchup in Group A now, and it's going to be followed by the other two teams in Group A afterwards between Malaysia and the United Kingdom. Every single team coming into this weekend at 1 win and 1 loss. So as a result, the two matches, I should say, between those 4 teams, very simple. The winners make it, the losers do not. Other divisions were much more complicated. So let's see what happened in this game so far. It looks like Detox to open for Napat. Sherwin responding with Widower. Nice bingo there. And then Kale was played by Napat. A J-bomb for Sherwin and the ING extension for Napat. And now Sherwin sitting on a rack that looks like it has no shortage of bingo opportunities. And he plays Cisterna, which that looks like a very logical choice here. Actually, looking at the Quackle, you can see that it was one of 2 plays here that scored 78 points. So that looks like a solid idea. And the only question is, are we worried a little bit about the hooks to Cisterna? Yeah, Cisterne could be just an enormous play. Amazingly, Napat has neither of the hooks. Actually, there is another one too. So those 2 words, oh my god. And now the question is, does Sherwin know the hooks? Because he is about to hit another humongous play in that spot if he does. We don't need the poll anymore. So all he needs is a little bit of confidence in those hooks, and he can just take them out right now. If he doesn't, he'll just be able to play Geniture for 80, but I think I would much... Okay, so that... So he plays Geniture. So that indicates maybe a little bit of doubt over the Cisterna hooks, and he's just taking the absolute sure thing. Absolutely, it was better positionally to play something with Cisterna, in my opinion. or rather with Cisternae, I should say, just because those hooks are so scary for the future. Both scoring and bingoing, in fact. They also score 5 more points, so the additional points are great, but I think positionally it's going to work out even better to take those hooks now. But either way, not a big deal, I guess. So Maze was played there. That looked pretty good. He used the eye. He could have kept the eye, I suppose, to go a little harder for bingos. But I think every tile, from Napat's perspective, every tile that's not an E or I guess an L is worth using to try to hit those tiles now. Okay, he's got a bingo of caplets and plackets and placates. There's definitely stuff playable through the K and A of Kale here for Napat, as we see Sherwin play 4. That looked pretty strong, just to score a decent amount of points. But the real question here, though, is could Napat potentially think that Cisterna takes an S? Because that is the scary thing. If you go for it and try to put an S on there, it's definitely getting challenged. Sherwin is definitely apt to challenge stuff that he's not 100% sure of, and we would see a challenge on that for sure if we saw caplets and cisternas go down. I don't think we will see that go down. I think, yeah, we're going to see something a little safer, and sure enough, placates is played. So that is that does a lot to cut the gap in this game by a fair amount. But obviously, immediately, you can see a play like Hove is going to score a ton of points in that top part of the board for Sherwin to run his lead back up. I bet we're going to see the Cisterna hook come into play at some point, at some time in this game. I would be shocked if it did not factor in at some point. We'll see. So back over to, so the funny thing is, these S's that Napat is drawing are, obviously you love to see S's, but the S is not the valuable hook on this board because it can't be played there. So this is like, if ever you were going to have a game where you were disappointed to draw S's, this is probably it. Any logic to not playing placates to the left? So I guess there is some logic to it because it scores a few fewer points, but it doesn't make that enormous spot that was just played on. So placates playing here instead would have been significantly more defensive, but I don't know. That's tricky. Yeah, there is some merit to that, I think, as I think about it. Okay, so Napat plays Have, which obviously we were just talking about how the board is sort of unhospitable to S's, and now he's made a play that makes the S's a lot stronger. The problem is he kept a U with it, so he could, you see the unseen pool, there's 3 U's. He could easily, when we cut back to his turn, you could see he's drawn another one, and he would have SSUU on his rack. So keeping the U could turn out poorly, but I understand the idea behind playing Have there. There is some value in the future of setting up that hook, even if you are saddled with U's on your next turn. This spot is relatively, well, I don't know. It's possible that this scoring spot will be appealing at times to Sherwin, but a lot of the time this S hook is going to sit open for a fair margin, especially if you're banking in some time for Cisterna to be played. But again, I just don't know. Is Sherwin unsure of those hooks? Because as we know, we saw him play Geniture over Reunite or Neurite. So that tells me that he might be a little bit unsure, and that if he has any reasonable plays in other spots of the board, he may be apt to prioritize those just because they he knows for sure that they're valid words. Did I say I didn't say the word S's clearly? I apologize for that. We've got a great bingo that Aditya played that's going to get me banned from Twitch. But now I've said I like to see asses on the stream. I didn't hear that coming out of my mouth, but I trust you guys. I've said enough things on the stream to draw the ire of pedants, probably only. Wow, 84 viewers. That's a great total. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you're enjoying the coverage of the Virtual World Cup. I'm sure. I'm just curious if anybody. I'm wondering, is anybody here from ISC? We changed the note on ISC to plug the coverage a little bit. If you're a CSW player, I'm just curious if that's driven anybody here. Wow. Okay. Big swing just happened now. Cool. Yes, Rev ISC. That definitely makes sense. That with that name that you would be here from ISC. Okay, so really big swing here. I think it was a reasonable play to play if there. That actually looks like a solid play, even not being fully aware of the hooks of Cisterna. And it has the benefit for Sherwin of just blocking them pretty conclusively, so you don't have to worry about them anymore. So if looked like a decent idea to keep good bingo tiles, but to his leave of USS, Napat drew EENN, which sometimes might not be good, but in this particular case was very good because it allowed him to bingo. I wonder, though, if Unseens was a little better than Unsense. Here, you can see that, so the two bingos available here, Unseens looks like, so putting the NS here instead of that E probably makes it a lot more difficult to play something down if Sherwin were to have something good. So maybe a tiny little variation on that, but it's hard to argue with Unsense there as a pretty strong play. I just think in this particular case, Sherwin is going to play his highest, whatever strongest word he can in that area, I would think, which I'm not sure what that is. Is there anything better than just bong? I mean, maybe not. If I look up in the chat where I did, it's the chat is too. I got too much stuff going on. Yeah, it's too much stuff going on. I can't go back. Yeah, it's if I'm doing something bad, you should let me know so I can try to fix it. Yeah, if this is a compliment, then I appreciate it. But if this is bad, then I'll try to fix what I'm doing so I'm better. Yeah. Yes, I do try to be a little nicer during the school event than I am here. I'm a little harder on the players here. I wouldn't say I'm super hard of a commentator in terms of really ripping people. I don't actually like that style of commentary. I think it's good to just emphasize the thought process of what was going into different moves as opposed to just castigate people for making mistakes. It's just not really a great environment when you're just ripping people constantly. Okay, so bong is played. I guess there was nothing that much better than bong in that spot. So we see bong be played. Napat responded with dade. I guess dead is how you would probably say that. I think it's a synonym of dead. Maybe not. And Sherwin responds with buoy for a really nice score. So Sherwin is basically given Napat's terrible draw of all those eyes. Okay, that's it. Game over. Napat just drew really poorly and played Li Tai to do his best to get rid of as many tiles as he could, and we're absolutely going to see trudged or trudging or drug it even better. Nice play by Sherwin. And unless something crazy happens with this queue, which would have to bingo here basically, and it's not, so that will be a win for Sherwin. Nicely done. A lot of points being scored in this game too. I think we're at the 1,000-point threshold. So that's a pretty fun game to watch here. There were a lot of interesting decisions and choices. Yeah, Aquarial. That if this E were an A, maybe that would have done the trick for Napat. But as it happens, okay, this was a really quick game to finish. I actually think every single vote was for this game. So let's just see what other games are available to watch here. So that is going to definitely be a win for India, and an important one that equalizes the match at 8. So yeah, we haven't really seen Mohan play yet, so I will acquiesce to that request for Mohan versus Jakrit. Oh my, and this looks like it's right down to the wire. Okay, so we've caught this game in its end game. Oh, I'm sorry, let me cut to it. Actually, I'll do this. So it's Mohan, and Mohan is going first, versus Jakrit. There. So we have caught this game at the absolute ending. And I wonder, it seems with this rack, it should be a pretty simple task for Mohan to just go out in 2. So, all right, so first of all, we know that the match is now 8-8. It could be more. I have to look and see if any of the other results are in yet, but Forgons, yeah, I'm remembering Forgons from somewhere. Okay, so nice play there of and to score quite well. I'm sure that Mohan looked as hard as he could through a lot of the letters on the board, like that G up high, just to make sure. Wow, Basophil. Oh, that's great. Yeah, look at that. So I'm sure how that went down is Basophil was played first, and then Ricey was hooked with Basophile, if I had to guess. But actually, I don't know. There's ways that it could have been played potentially as a 9. So that would be really impressive if so. Thank you very much to Domerate8 for the follow. Great, another ISC player. Welcome. Hope you enjoy this coverage. We're into the final 2 matches of the week, of week 3 in the Virtual World Cup here. While we wait for this end game to finish up, just a really quick look at the standings so far. You can see that we are watching Thailand versus India right now. You see that match highlighted. I do not have the Nigeria versus Australia match reflected in the standings, but that was actually Australia's win there, so I can actually pump it up really quick to where it's supposed to go, and change the standings. Oops, there we go. So Australia coming out on top here. Not to belabor this point, but we just want to make it look nice, and that can be very quick. Okay, there we go. So here are the updated standings. You see that there. Top 2 teams from each group advancing. So Group A is still completely up for grabs, and this particular match is still completely up for grabs because it is currently 8-8 tied between India and Thailand. So in the other groups, you see Pakistan and Australia advance, USA and Ireland from Group D, and Canada and Singapore advancing. Singapore on the strength of the tiebreakers of individual wins, of which they had an amazing 45 wins despite being 1-2 in their record. So we'll cut back to this and just see how this game finishes up. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not correct. There we go. So it's actually Mohan is about to go out and win this game. Nice play by Jakrit of Marai in that spot, but it's going to be in a losing effort. Taxis, yep, that was pointed out as a potential outplay. So a very nice win for Mohan here. So you can see that will be another win for India. Let's see what's going on versus in the Udayan versus Natapat game. That's going on right here. Flags are reversed. So yeah, I think so. 31 games is a solid total, but you have to remember that every team played 75 games, so that's still a losing record. So you're looking for. So I had the individual wins just up there as the tiebreaker, but if we're looking at their actual record, it would look a little bit less impressive. It would be 31-44. So very, very tough group for South Africa. I mean, that's just brutal to have to play Pakistan, Australia, and Nigeria, three of the strongest Scrabble playing nations going right now. So that's a tough draw for any team. All right, so this is another game that appears to be going in India's direction. So Thailand starting fast in this event. They started out with a 4-1 opening round, but India is coming on strong. Although, nice play of Euroland there by Nadapat. But I bet we're going to see something like Spewing be played in response that's going to more than cover that gap. With Hiois. Yeah, Hioi is a word that takes an S. So I bet Farewell is actually a nice bingo, actually, pointing out that this play here was played earlier with a blank. Looks like a double-double. That's a nice play. Also, Matoid and Argyles looks like a 1-2 punch that was played at some point by Udayan in this game. So, let's just stick with this game long enough to see if Udayan gets his bingo down with his S of Spewing. He might not see it. He might not. He may. Well, actually, it would be surprising if he didn't play something like Puggiest at the very least to the T of Matoids. So I'm guessing we'll see a win here. Yannickit wins over Nakul. Thank you for that. Appreciate that update. So that's going to be a win for Thailand, much needed to stop the bleeding. And do we know what's going on with Aditya? There we go. So we do see Puggiest be played, which actually has its benefits just because Spewing sort of opens some triples on the bottom. Alchemist 9189 makes a great point. The Alchemist Cup scoring system is different. And in fact, that would have manifested itself most powerfully in the match between India and the United Kingdom. So there was a matchup earlier between India and the United Kingdom where the United Kingdom won round 5 by an amazing score of 5-0 when they absolutely had to in order to win the match. So United Kingdom was the winner of that match. But had they used Alchemist scoring, where you get a point per round, India would have won that match 4-1. So the UK ends up winning in the Virtual World Cup by a score of 1-0 in that match, but it was actually, if Alchemist scoring, it would have been completely different. India won 4 out of the 5 rounds against the UK and ended up losing the match because they won 3-2 every time, I think. They won 3-2 every round until the final round where they lost 5-0. Okay, so this game is not out of reach yet for Nadapat, which actually, why don't I just get this up so that it can be, it's Udayan. Oh no, there we go. There, okay, now it's correct. So you see the names. I am hardcore for being up this early. I've actually been up since 5:30 a.m. getting ready for this. Again, I am sort of subbing in here for Ed Oglehat, who is supposed to be doing this, but internet connection did not cooperate, so I was happy to take that on. But definitely in the future, hopefully we have just a huge array of streamers around the globe ready to rock to do events like this. And I'm really thrilled with how things are progressing in that way. It's awesome that Jeremy's channel is getting some traction. We know Benji was the original Scrabble streamer and has been at it the longest. And it's cool to see people like Aditya Iyengar start to stream and Ed start to stream. So very, very pleased with the development in that way, Scrabble streaming. Hopefully it's just onward and upward from here. And obviously I would love for people also to, if you want to see more features, Twitch is really limited only by your creativity and technical skill with the software. So if there's stuff that you guys want to see that you've never seen on a Scrabble stream before, definitely let streamers know. We will do our best to add those features. All right, so what's happening here? After Udion's Grover of Puggiest, Natapat played Dopey for 30 down in the corner. That's not too threatening, but if he were to somehow draw something to the Y, it would score a ton. Ami was played by Udion just to sort of balance his vowels. But really the biggest threat on this board remains the High-Ois hook, and there are 2 S's available to hit that spot. The score is such that if Natapat were to hit that, it would be pretty decisive. Yeah, that's... no, I think that's beyond my bounds of what we can provide. Yes, Weibin plugging his Discord. That is a really awesome service that I've only just been scratching the surface of. At some point, I want to play some Discord games on there, but if you are into all forms of Scrabble streaming, I definitely recommend joining that Discord channel. It gives you automatic updates whenever anybody is streaming, and it's actually a great place to just discuss Scrabble streaming in general. So I definitely need to get more into that Discord, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing in my early experience with it. So, all right, let's see here. What to do from Udion's perspective. It would be great if he could figure out a way to sort of mess with this S hook, but I'm not sure how he can. There's no words long enough. The LO doesn't really hook. Something fancy through OM going all the way down? Probably not. I guess the best thing he could do is just grab as many points as he can somewhere, but I don't even see how he can do that. I think maybe in his shoes at this score, I actually might be apt to do something like this. I might be apt to play like Nicety. And the reason I would do that is that there's just there's no great plays elsewhere on the board. And the thing about Nicety is that at least it blocks the Y, but then it gives you a chance on subsequent turns to do something that more conclusively blocks High-Oi. So you're sort of doing it. You can't really block the High-Oi's hook now, but that's not a reason to shy away from trying to block it in 2 turns, potentially, right? Like, if you play Nicety now and then something through the E that doesn't end in a good letter, you've blocked it in 2 turns. So sometimes not being able to do it in 1 turn isn't an excuse not to continue to play defensively. There is Edik as a possible play, but the thing I don't like about that is it just gives you a free crack at the C first. So it's not, I guess that's okay. And then on subsequent turns, you can block the C. But Nicety doesn't give back too much. Well, maybe Edik is worth doing. It does block that S pretty consistently, pretty conclusively, I should say. It's a tricky turn. Let's see what goes down here. I mean, I wouldn't say that Edik is considerably better than Nicety, just because it keeps clunkier letters behind. It only scores 18 compared to Nicety for, what was that, 14? So it's only a 4-point sacrifice, and you bring the game much closer to a close. Yeah, I know it blocks it, but it gives a C. It gives a C back. Not that the C is that great. I don't know if I had this game further in Quackle, I'd be curious to see bingo percentage. Ice and EE. Oh, yeah. That looks nice. I like that idea. Oh, that's okay too, I guess. Net blocks it a little bit. But oh wow, okay. So all right, so Udayan plays net. It scores 15. He goes up by 51, and Natapat just dumps his Q, and he's going for something big. He had good letters left over with that. And now I think I would like to see, so Udayan drew a bunch of I's, which we don't like to see, but he drew the S, which we do. So I think we absolutely would like to see this be played right now. I think I would like to see that be played, and it's going to be really, he basically has to hit this Y. I'm sure there are some things available. Vinegary is in the pool. I'm sure there's a couple other things that hit the Y. But you win a lot of games after Iwis here, I think. So maybe Iwis here. No, that's not right because it makes a huge lane. Okay. I'm just wondering if maybe there's some way to go all the way through. Oh, wait, Moti is a word. Wait a second. I mean, that just scores a ton too, but that's, you get hit so hard in the triple, it's probably not worth it. Yeah, okay, yeah, tempting but so wrong. Yeah, I'm just realizing now as I'm looking for the plays, like, man, that looks, yeah, okay, so the play that I hope to see was played of Iwis, and it doesn't look like Natapat had anything anyway. Oh, by the way, I think this is round 4. I apologize. So yeah, there we go. So let me see. Do we have any other? Yeah, this is definitely round 4. We have some of the results in already. So I am thinking that this is going to be. That was a pretty high scoring play. It gets him pretty close, but after Udayan's next play, he's going to be up by easily enough. Yeah, Benji, it's early. It's early for us both. Yeah, it took me a second, but yeah, anything with unis scores a ton. Okay, so we think that this game is going to go India's way. Let's see what's happening here. If that's true, and I think it is, that's another win for India, and Aditya is just finishing, and it looks like a Karapon won that game. So it's still very, very close. All right, so after 4 rounds, here's where we are. Let me get the poll up for round 5 as I figure out what's going on. This is it. This is for all the marbles. It looks like, okay, so 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like it is 10-10 going into the final round. Wow. That, you couldn't ask for a better finish. Once again, the team that wins this overall matchup makes it into the bracket. And the team that loses is out. So couldn't get more dramatic. India is hanging tough without their number 1 player, by the way, Akshay. So it looks like Sherwin versus Jakrit is, yeah, that's a pretty good matchup. I think that is a very, very reasonable one to focus on. I think they're playing already. Oh my God, they're already super far along. Okay. So these 2 guys are already really far. This is the runaway winner in the poll, and it's a really close game. So we will do our best to, nope. There we go. Okay, so this is correct. We'll stop the poll for now. This looks like it's absolutely the most popular matchup, so we will stick with this. It's round 5, 10-10 going in. So this is really tight. Let me see if I can get Quackle up to speed so we can provide that. Oops, excuse me. So we can provide that analysis. It is Jakrit and Sherwin. And I will go as fast as humanly possible. Sherwin looks to have a small lead, but obviously Jakrit has a blank, and I'm sure he's going to find something with it. Something to the D. Surf Road at the very least. I think we've seen Surf Ride already at some point. But there are bingos playable here. There's probably something better even than that somewhere. Something starting with F? Oh, right. Sorry. Hooking races. Oh, Profuse is played, and that's crazy because I know that Profuser is a Collins noun. So that is a humongous hook that could loom really large at some point. All right, let me see here. So pi, if we can just get far enough along in the game, going as fast as I can. Darn it. Why do players ever make not the best equity play? That's what I have to ask. Zeta. So yeah, that Profuser hook could loom very large, like I said. In this particular situation, Sherwin is down by not that much, and he should definitely be able to score well here. Even just simple plays like how score 35, there might be better. Oh, maybe he should play Gown or something like that. So there's definitely ways for him to score well. Not sure if other better stuff's being suggested in the chat right now. Oh, that's nice. That's definitely a solid idea. And there's the R. Wow, there's that R for Profuser. So here's a big inflection point. Does Jacrete know that word? There's definitely some good stuff that can be played down there. Rumpo jumps out, unless there's some thing better. Is there something through the S with this? So he could keep that R if he wants to be really dangerous, if he has better plays elsewhere that don't use it, because it's just so good for that spot. But we'll see what he opts to do. I'm almost up to date. Now let's see if there's anything better than Rofuse blank, what he had on that rack. Okay, so there were a couple other plays other than Profuse. I'm up to it in Quackle now. If we're going back to that turn, so potentially, oh, sorry, no, Dewey was in that spot, so that's not available. What am I missing? Aces, Dewey, and now Rofuse blank. Okay, so, oh, Foudries through the T. Okay, that would have been potentially a little safer than Profuse. There it is. Okay, so we see the hook be played. Nicely done. He knew the word and was able to play the hook. That was dangerous because Sherwin could easily have had that. And had he hung that R out in space, there is an 8-letter word with Sherwin's rack that I think we can find. We mostly know as a normal word. All right, so now I'm up to date. So we can get back to looking at chat and stuff. Okay. Wow, 101 viewers. That is amazing. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you're enjoying this coverage. Yeah, Hubert, the buzzkill. I'm fully aware of Chess's unbelievable Twitch presence, but hey, they've been at it for longer. They've been at it for much longer than we have, and they just have a bigger infrastructure. So we have to do what we can to emulate what they've done, even while realizing maybe the raw numbers that they can provide are out of reach. But we can do better, and we are doing better. Okay, Chew is played. That looks pretty good. So on this board right now, the score is super, super, super close, 296 to 283. This S is just looming really large. That is a spot that could be easily hit with a bingo. You can see this D is also open. So there's definitely, it feels a little bit like a race to hit one of those letters, and I bet we will see a bingo before this game is up that sort of decides the game. And these games are really, really important. Obviously, this match going into round 5 is 10-10. Winner advances to the bracket, loser goes home. Interesting play of pies there. So Jacrete leaving everything open. And I think he's trying to win that race to the S. I think he just left like TINE or something. I don't know. Did he have an O? But either way, Jacrete just left really good letters, and Sherwin has really bad letters. So this is definitely a scary, scary moment right now for Sherwin, because Jacrete could easily have hit something that will put him in firm command of the game here. And Sherwin is saddled with a Q. So he exchanges, and it looks like Jacrete has not hit anything. So now we know there's a bunch of junk in the bag. Oh, wow. Amazing. Okay, so Jacrete balances his rack. He uses his 2 O's, and Sherwin obviously just threw back a lot of junk, leaving NG, hoping to draw one of the many I's. If you look down at the bottom left of your screen, you see how many I's were unseen to him. So he left NG, drew an I and the blank besides. So he is for sure going to be doing something here. Shedding at the absolute very least will score a ton of points in that spot, 88. Excuse me. So that was a huge, huge swing. Exchanging there. I was actually thinking that there were other ideas. Oh, am I having issues? Oh, is Benji lagging, or am I having... Oh, you're saying Benji's behind. Okay, if I'm lagging, I'll try to fix that, obviously. So, okay, he plays Rehinged for 91. So that is... Oh my god, he's just played RA. That is unbelievable. That is just a really unfortunate oversight right there by Sherwin. Will Jacrete catch this? This is the sort of thing that over the board you will see almost every time, but sometimes on ISC it will slip by unnoticed. Oh my god, oh no! Amazing. Jacrete did not notice. Oh my god, that is unbelievable. So a phony 2 was played inadvertently. You see it right here. That is not a valid word. And really, that is just quintessential online play. I really think in person, players would see that because there's more time to watch your opponent pick the letters up, put them on the board. Online, the word just appears in your view. And I think Jacrete probably saw the blank and all those nice letters and just did not think about it. Okay, so anyway, it's not over yet from his perspective because Sherwin has drawn a whole bunch of the bad letters that he just had back on his rack, and Jacrete played Gent, probably hoping to draw the last A, which he may very well have done. It's very possible that we're going to see something in that spot. So, man, this is scary. Obviously, if Sherwin feels that Jacrete would play Gent with an A in hand, because again, if you look on your lower left, there's only one left. Yes, he should play Chi here to block, right? He should just dump his Q and block this spot right now. The scary thing about it is that it yields a really good sevens lane back in addition to this S that's still there, just waiting to be hit. So, oh my god. All right, so this is pretty insane, the way this game is unfolded. So Jacrete is not close to bingoing with these letters, and he really, really needs one at this score. He's down almost 60 points. He's not likely to get back into this game. Oh, well, hold on. Is there any... He has this possibility here if he's able to draw the A. Does he have anything else that fits here? I guess not. Yeah, there's nothing that quite fits with this X spot right now. He really would have needed the A. Wow. Not sure what he's going to do here. I guess he could try to just pop the X down and play a phony 2. It seemed to work for Sherwin. That's amazing. What can you say? So, what is he supposed to do here? All right, let me see. First of all, I stopped quackling when it told me rehinged formed an unacceptable word. So we can just catch up a little bit and see where we're at. So, all right. So he plays Vom, which, oh man, I guess the thing about Vom is, yes, it uses up your V and your O and your M, which probably you don't want, but it keeps your X and it blocks the S and this sevens lane. So now you're pretty much confined to bingoing to the R and N of Frank, right? Like there's still possibilities of playing to those letters, but it's hard to imagine what you're going to hit there with this pool holding the X. It's going to be really, really difficult to hit that spot. Wow. Does he have anything with the X that could potentially even play there? I'm not sure. Oh my god, this is insane. Let me just see what is going on. So when do I need to be... Okay, so United Kingdom and Malaysia is coming in half an hour, so we should definitely be out of this matchup by that time. All right, so I was wondering if we're going to have issues with that. Obviously, I'm not going to cut away from this to go to the Malaysia and UK match. That will just have to start late, but I think it's gonna overlap more or less perfectly. Okay. Wow, he drew Taxites. He drew Taxites. So Sherwin plays Blinn, and the point of Blinn obviously is to just block the R and the N, of which there definitely were, unseen to him, some things that would fit there, like Toastier is pointed out. So that he had to block that, and he has done that successfully. And it looks like Sherwin is going to come out ahead in this game, I think, barring something that I have not foreseen. But then again, I didn't foresee RA being played on the board, and that did happen. So Jacrete does have an X play down in the lower right corner that's going to score quite well, right? So he can play down here for a lot of points. Is that enough? I mean, he's going to play for something like 45 points. Wait just a second, though. What happens if he plays just Cat? He plays XI. I was thinking, but what happens if he just plays Cat there, setting up a big S hook in that spot? Oh my god. That could have been... Wait a second, though. This is interesting, because Jacrete has some good... Yeah, wow. Hold on a second. There are definitely some good plays that are going to follow up with the state, or he can just play a bunch of other really high-scoring plays like Cats on his next turn. And Sherwin, what is he going to do? If he plays something like Ingo, leaving LV, is he then V-stuck? Can he effectively block that area? Oh my god, this is actually a very, very, very interesting endgame, and I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to just rely on Quackle to figure this out, but like, I think he is in grave danger of being V-stuck if he tries to block the big Q play. So if he doesn't block it, and Jacrete just plays out somewhere, I think he's gonna win. Okay, all right, let me get Quackle on this. Okay, so let's go back as far as the first move of the endgame. So here are the static plays. I'm going to ask Championship Player now. Wow, okay, so there you have it. It thinks that Zai is winning 45 points. Let's move on and see. Okay, so that is what he played. So from Sherwin's perspective, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to play Vino, but he has no wins. So if he plays Ingo instead, I'm very curious if he opts to block, what then happens from Jacrete's perspective? He just goes out. I think he just goes out, or Yeah, he can go out with something like Testa and Blinn. He can just play Testa here in this spot, and he'll just win. Oh man, this is insane. This is absolutely nutty. I did not see that happening. I was so sure after Vom. I was so sure after Vom that was it, but he drew the X. So after Vom, Jakrit left text and he drew IS, which basically that is the absolute, he needed to keep the X and draw the I, and drawing the S along with it. Basically, that was the miracle draw for him, I think. Oh my god. So he does find his best play of Vino. That was the play that Quackle wanted, but even after that play, there's just plenty of things that are easy wins for Jakrit here. Hold on. Yeah, so you can see he doesn't have to play out right now. He could just play Teat and end up winning, but if he just plays Testa, he's going to sneak ahead. Or Tatis. This would be a tie. If he were to play State right here, that would be a tie. So hopefully he can think to play Testa. He has a minute to think and do some math, which he may already have done some of this math when he played XI, or he'd be doing it on Sherwin's turn. But wow, that's going to be a huge win for Thailand here, which I admit I thought this game was going India's way. Amazing. Yeah, oh, would he play State just to achieve a tie because he is a tie? Probably not. Yeah, this is pretty bonkers. Gov and Gig. What happens after Gov and Gig? Okay, he plays Tatis, which he seemingly intentionally is doing to set up a 1-point win, unless he's not sure of Testa. So Jakrit wins by 1 point. That was pretty epic. We saw a lot of exciting stuff that game. All right, we can't think about it too hard. Let's cut to some of the other games. Let's look at the number 1 seeds. I think every other game is still in progress. So, wow, this looks like it is a strong performance here. It looks like this for sure is, oh, let me cut to this screen. This for sure is going to be a win for Mohan, and we can see India on top, Thailand on the bottom here, between Mohan Chunkath and Akarapan. So this looks like it could be a win for India. We know that Thailand won between the number 2 seeds. Let's look at the number 3 seeds. This again looks like it's going well for India, but it's still very early. So we'll cut back to this game if we see what's going on in the others. Nakul Prabhu just finished his game, and he won as well. Let's just have a look at this game, whether it was close. 505 to 451. Again, I know the flags are reversed. It's hard to hear. There we go. So you see Nakul won this game. So far, it looks like things are breaking right for India, and I think I saw in the chat that India and Aditya was winning his game. Where is he? He looks like he just finished. And you can see that, yes, sure enough, he did. I think that might clinch it for India. If we just go back and look. Well, it doesn't clinch it because some of the games are yet to finish. Okay, so the games that are finished are, we just found out that Nakul won, Aditya won, Mohan is up big, Jakrit won for Thailand to stave off elimination right there. So basically, it's whether can Mohan or Udayan finish off their games. They just need one, and this one is looking really good. This one looks like it for sure will be Mohan Chunkath's to win. Wow. We'll watch this one finish up. Sorry, it's back to here. So with the end game, yeah, how could he lose? It looks like it's basically decided. Mohan is up almost 100 points. He has the second blank. The bag is empty, and Akarapan has A, A, C, D, D, E, O. So it looks like India, after going down 4-1 in the opening round, has stormed back, and I'm pretty sure that once this game finishes up, that's going to be win number 13, and they may even get 14 wins from Udayan Grover, potentially defeating Napat. Wow, that is absolutely insane. A lot of just bonkers games in this matchup, and it looks like it's going in India's direction. There's Aditya in the chat saying he's lost 5 years of my life this round. Yeah, I think pretty much most of the games we've watched have been incredibly close. Really, really good games. Obviously, we've cut away from some blowouts to find some close ones, but sometimes I will tell you that it is hard to find as many close, exciting games as we've found in this matchup. Amazing stuff. Okay, so basically it seems like with an 100 and something point win that this round is almost for sure, it basically is for sure decided in favor of Mohan Chunkath. So that's going to be another win for India, and that makes the final game completely academic. As going into this round, it was 10-10, and India has won the 3 rounds they needed to secure 13 wins and the match. We can go back and just see what's going on. It looks like Udayan is in really strong position in this game as well. Again, it is fully academic at this point. Okay, so let's review what has happened here. So in the pool play standings, you can see that India is going to narrowly win this match and pass Thailand. India will be the first team to win. Malaysia versus the UK coming in about 25 minutes. So you can see here the bracket has been decided. Again, though, there is sort of a magic number thing happening. So if we look at the pool play, you see the win totals right now. India is on 13 wins, and they may have 14. So coming into this match, they had 27 wins. So if they are able to win, it looks like they are likely to, they're going to win at least 13 and maybe 14. So their win total is going to be 40 or 41. So what that means is with a win total of 41 for India, and why don't I just change that right now? So it looks, I mean, this is, it doesn't really make sense. That's what I'm explaining. I know the winners absolutely could swap. That's what I'm hoping to explain. So if India ends up with 41 wins, if let's say Malaysia beats the UK, that's the much more, I'm explaining that now. The much more likely outcome is Malaysia. If Malaysia beats the UK and scores, well, let's just say for argument's sake, they win 18 games against the UK. Then Malaysia will pass India in the standings on the strength of more individual wins. And if that were to happen, it would actually be Malaysia in this spot of the bracket as opposed to here. So these spots are not set in stone. It's only set in stone that whichever team in Group A has the most wins will play Australia, and whichever team has the second most wins will play Pakistan. So right now, it does look likely, given that Malaysia and the UK are pretty evenly matched, it does look pretty likely that India is going to move on and play Australia, and the winner of Malaysia and the UK will play Pakistan. That seems likely, but it is not set in stone. I don't think the UK is likely to win. I don't think the UK is likely to win 20 games against Malaysia today. That would be a real shocker if Malaysia lost 20 games to the UK. I also don't think Malaysia is going to win 18 games against the UK, but that is certainly more likely than the UK winning 20. That's just a really high number. So that is going to be coming in not too long from now. Again, you can see here is how things are shaking out, and we just have the one game left, but it is fully academic at this point. Let me get the things correct. There we go. Between Udayan and Napat. So it looks like Napat just played cut, hoping to make a scut play here. It's not clear to me that these two players know. Oh, wow. Oh, wait a second. Gurney was played. I didn't think about that. So I think that must only be IE, right? Is that possible? Yeah, so that's a reasonable try to play Gurney with a Y, but it's only with IE that it compares. Team Singapore is currently asking, yeah, so you can see that that is, if you look at the bracket, some of the matches already all set. Canada versus Ireland, that should be a great one. Ireland just defeated the U.S. In a very, unfortunately, I lost a game by 1 point in that match, which appears to have been a pretty big swing there. Obviously, we lost 13-12, so when you lose a game by 1 point, you can't help but feel like it falls on you. Yeah, so anyway, as we wait for this final game to finish up, we can just get a little bit of an overview of what's gone on so far. These are the results from week 1. Right off the bat, there were some huge upsets. Obviously, the Kenya win over Singapore might be the single biggest upset that occurred, especially when you look at week 2, where Singapore absolutely hammered Ghana 21-4. That is the most wins that any team recorded. Thank you for the follow. Be a natural. Appreciate that. Oh, a couple other follows I didn't see. I didn't see Womble ISC. Thank you so much for the follow. Hope you guys have enjoyed the coverage. So yeah, week 2. Another big upset in week 2 was the Philippines over Ireland, 15-10. That was very surprising, and it put Philippines in contention to potentially make the bracket this week. But the Ireland victory over the U.S., had we managed to knock Ireland off, it would have been the Philippines in the bracket instead, which I think would have been a pretty amazing upset, given the strength of the Ireland team. And there you also see the UK versus India. That was an incredible match where going into the last round, the UK was down 8-12 and needed to win all 5 of their games to win that match, which they did, 13-12. That was pretty amazing. So here's where we are this week. Australia, obviously no longer in progress with Nigeria. That round, that game went to Australia by a score of 14-11. And we can make that nice and big again. So that was 14-11 for Australia. India is well on its way to beating Thailand. Canada beat Singapore 13-12, which was amazing, given that Canada started out up 9-1 in that series. And we think that India is very likely here to win 14-11, or at the very least 13-12. And that should do it for those two teams. So let me see. The winners, Australia and India. Does that look right? Yeah. And then we get rid of the teams not played. There we go. Okay, so that is now up to date. I believe everything is correct. Maybe the flags are reversed. No, it looks like the flags are all correct as well here. So, wow, amazing week of play. India does win this match. We don't know yet whether they have 13 or 14 wins, but we can just cut back to this game and see what's happening. Hopefully it ends on the soonish side, because I would love a break before the next match begins, which is in 17 minutes time. I actually have a cereal bowl here that I had with me before play started. I didn't quite finish, so maybe I'll turn my microphone off for just a second as I do some slurping. There you go. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, I'm not observing? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, because Udayan lost contact again. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so we are a little bit further into this game than I thought. 377 to 314. Yeah, thanks, guys. I definitely firmly believe that there is a lot of room for us to grow and create a really good streaming product for Scrabble. Things are only going to get better as we get better platforms. Not that, I mean, ISC has been really good and is making a lot of strides, but we'll see what's coming down the pike with them. Oh, wow. So hold on a second. Is there if so right now if Napat plays Hansier, that's going to score 78 and he's going to get a bunch of points from Udayan, but I think 100 points of a deficit is a bit too much. So still going to be Udayan's game to win as we thought it would. I already put the score in as 14-11. So that is what we have here. It is a 14. Wow, that was shockingly close, actually. I didn't see it being quite that close. 14-11. Final score of 419-415. Wow. So there you have it, folks. 14-11 win for India over Thailand. Commiserations to Thailand. Really, really great performance, especially by some of their younger players on the team. They hung, I should say, really tough in a very, very difficult group. A lot of people considered Group A to be the group of death in this tournament. You hear that phrase. I think Group B also has a pretty strong claim to that, with Pakistan, Australia, and Nigeria. Two of those three make it, and one of those three was not able to make the bracket, and it was Nigeria. So anyway, I'm going to take a quick break. We got 15 minutes until Malaysia and the UK gets underway. So that's going to be the last matchup in this group. I think for the sake of having two different videos on demand, I'm going to cut this stream short and we're going to go to the intro screen for the other matchup. I got all the graphics and stuff ready for that one. So you'll just bear with me really quickly. I'm going to end this stream. I'm going to start the countdown to the next matchup. And I'll see you guys in just a few minutes. I need a few minutes early. I'll probably be on in a little bit less than 10 minutes just to preview the matchup. So thank you, everybody. I'm amazed at the support, the viewership. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with the final matchup of pool play in the Virtual World Cup.